You don't fight, you don't get paid necessarily in the contract.
Sorry, Stephen Thompson, you won't be getting paid for a task you didn't complete. Wonderboy withdrew from his fight against Michel Pereira at UFC 291 because the Brazilian missed the welterweight limit by 3 pounds, and Thompson didn't want to fight a heavier opponent. Since Thompson didn't fight, he didn't receive his show money, and Dana believes he only has himself to blame for it.
You decided not to fight. The guy was 3 pounds overweight, whatever it was. You get a piece of his purse if you take the fight. But if you decide you don't want to take the fight, we also offered him another fight. You know, there's a much bigger story behind the scenes. And no, you don't just show up and say, yeah, I'm not going to fight. I want $250,000. It's not the way it works. It hasn't worked that way for anybody.
Luckily, the UFC is working on solving the Thompson problem. If not his show money, the promotion will let Thompson have a quick turnaround against another fighter.
You don't fight, you don't get paid necessarily in the contract, but we always make sure that we take care of everybody, and you know, we're working it out with Wonderboy right now. It's all being worked out behind the scenes, and this should all be worked out by Saturday.
Former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman recently said that he'd love to fight Stephen Thompson, and maybe that's the quick turnaround Dana's talking about. But whatever it may be, Jake Paul wants the UFC president to deal with the matter ASAP, and I quote, "Focus on taking care of Stephen Thompson's purse. He's pushing 41, and you matched him against a 28-year-old who totally disregarded the weight, and you wanted to pressure him to fight." Moving on, Khabib Nurmagomedov has refused to train Elon Musk for a potential fight against Mark Zuckerberg. Before we find out why, please subscribe to Takedown MMA and turn on those notifications. Thank you. Khabib Nurmagomedov isn't a fan of Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg.
This is number one bull.
While it may have seemed like they were serious about fighting, Musk versus Zuckerberg now feels like a collaborative endeavor to keep people talking about Twitter and Facebook. And UFC fighters like Alex Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya, George St. Pierre, and John Jones have been helpful in that regard. But Khabib continues to stay undefeated. The Eagle was recently asked to train with Elon Musk, but he declined the offer, according to Russian news agency TASS, which quoted Russian fight promoter Vladimir Krayunov as saying, quote, "Khabib is a man of his own convictions and obviously treats what he has dedicated his life to very faithfully. It's about his vision and the integrity of the sport and life in general. This is why I believe he made the right decision. Much respect to Khabib." Moving on, Suga Sean O'Malley recently slid into Aljamain Sterling's DMs. The two bantamweights are scheduled to lock horns for the 135-pound title at UFC 292 in less than 2 weeks, so it's not surprising to see them playing a few games. O'Malley fired the first shot by saying that Sterling looked a little nervous during a recent appearance on TV. And Sterling responded by placing an interesting bet.
Sean O'Malley slides into me DMs. "Hey champ, saw you on TV, you looked hella nervous."
Yo, come on, man.
And then I sent them 2 voice notes just obnoxiously laughing, like fake laugh, obviously, but just being a clown. And at the end of this, I said $100 to whoever gets the first takedown. Deal. And he said deal. So we'll see if he actually obliges and tries to shoot and tries to wrestle with me, because it might be an early night for that guy.
Sterling most recently competed at UFC 288, where he defeated Henry Cejudo by a decision to improve to 3 title defenses in a row. Following his title defense, however, Sterling and Dana exchanged heated words after the UFC president tried to present the reigning champ as problematic for not accepting a quick turnaround fight against O'Malley. Sterling said that he needed more time to be 100% ready, but Dana wouldn't oblige. That gives John Anik a reason to believe that Sterling was bullied into accepting the fight.
The fact that he is stepping up here, right? Because the promotion didn't hold a gun to his head. Like, yes, he was, I believe, forcibly pushed into this slot, borderline bullied into this slot, but they didn't hold a gun to his head, you know? But it was a hard 25-minute fight with Henry Cejudo, and that shouldn't be lost in this conversation. And that's why I believe, as I sort of said, this heightens the challenge, and then it heightens the accomplishment.
Regardless, Anik thinks a win over O'Malley would be huge for Sterling.
A win over Sean O'Malley is huge. It's absolutely huge. And I think all the elite bantamweights would tell that to you on or off the record. They all acknowledge how good Sean O'Malley is, but we don't necessarily know how good he is in terms of being a 5-tool player and being tested against a grappler like Aljamain Sterling. I cannot wait.
Who do you think will win the bantamweight title fight between Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley at UFC 292? Dylan Dennis will have to pay a hefty fine if he pulls out of his scheduled boxing match against Logan Paul in October. The BJJ ace was previously scheduled to make his boxing debut against YouTuber KSI, but he withdrew weeks before the fight because he was underprepared. To prevent Dennis from pulling out of their fight, Logan Paul has added a pull-out clause in their contract. So, should Conor McGregor's bestie pull out due to a non-legitimate reason, he'll have to pay $100,000.
I'm convinced he's not going to show up. The clause is this: if he pulls out because of some sort of injury that he fakes, a doctor of our choosing has to verify the injury, and then if he is indeed faking it, he has to pay $100,000. There is a pull-out clause.
Should Dennis show up to fight, Paul warns that he's going to end him.
He's broke. This guy sucks. He's the parasite of the MMA and combat world. And that's why I took the fight initially, because inshallah, if he does show up, I get to be the one. To take an eraser and remove him from existence. His name will never be uttered again. He'll die that night twice. Physically, and his name, his legacy, it all disappeared.
Have something to say about today's stories? Let us know in the comment section below. To stay up to date with the latest happenings in mixed martial arts and boxing, please subscribe to Takedown MMA and turn on those notifications. Thank you for your continued love and support, and we'll see you in the next one.